first thing we'd ask you, if you have questions for the candidates, if you could write them down on a 3x5 card and pass them up to me so that, depending on the theme for tonight, which is the vision for the region, the theme and also the number of people in the audience that are kind of interested in that specific question. Thank you. Okay.
Hold up their cards.
Okay. So, and so that will be the foundation for the questions coming to our wonderful city candidates. As it just happens to turn out, I personally know all our candidates. They're super people. They do have differences of opinion on how the city should be managed. And so, as they're answering those questions, you need to decide for yourself who the right candidate is for you. Okay? Caleb James did call. He's running late from Topeka, but as soon as he gets here, we'll go ahead and seat him, and he'll just come in when he comes in. So as far as the rules, I'd ask that applause will be limited to after the introductions. I'll ask you for applause, and then at the end, after they do their closing statements, I'll ask for applause at that time. As always, courtesy and respect will be kind of our guiding principles. And that's pretty much it. So the candidates are familiar with the rules. It was provided to them. And so with that, just to remind everybody, they'll do a 2-minute introduction. At the beginning, a 1-minute closing statement. At the end, candidates will be allowed 2 minutes to respond to each question, and 2 1-minute opportunities to either respond, highlight, emphasize something from another candidate's response. On your table, you have an envelope. You kind of have 2 red cards, kind of like soccer. And so if you would like to make a comment about another candidate's response, feel free, and you'll have a 1-minute opportunity to either add, emphasize, whatever you'd like to do. Are there any questions? Okay. If there are no questions, then we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Mann. Oh, you just made it. Sir. Okay. 30 seconds yellow? 30 seconds yellow. Okay.
If you have any other questions, if people hold them up if they have them written out, and we'll grab them from you.
Okay. And so, and just for everybody, yeah, kind of the 30-second wording is the yellow card, and you got Mark Tosick right here as our timekeeper, and the red card is time has expired. All right, any other questions? I see none, we'll go ahead and start. Wynn, if you'll go ahead and start with your introductory statement.
I assume the microphones are working?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I'm Wynn Butler, and of course, I've been on the city commission for 6 years, so many of you, may know me. My main emphasis has always been tax relief, city infrastructure, and what I consider to be responsible growth. Some people call it economic development, but that's responsible growth. You can check the voting record. I think my voting record clearly reflects some frugal fiscal management. I like to scrutinize the numbers, fact-based decision-making, analyze all the data, innovative problem solving, because there's different ways to skin the cat when you start looking at the details. And then lastly, compromise to achieve shared goals, which has happened in the past couple of years on a couple of very hot topics that the city's dealt with. Now, my individual background, I spent 25 years in the Army as an infantry logistics officer. And then I spent 20 years teaching college and running an internet program for Barton County Community College at Fort Riley. So I've got a pretty diverse background dealing with different things and managing huge budgets and leading people in all kinds of environments, from charging up a hill under fire to doing relief operations in Rwanda. So I think that package is well utilized at the city, and I've got a number of goals for next year. I've put them on the back of my own card here that you can see. I'm dealing with all kinds of things from the animal shelter to implementing more of what I call lean management at the city, which is stretching your dollars. And the example I like to use for that is go to Seco Park and you'll see a sledding hill. And why is that there? Not because the city paid for it, because Rob Ott when we dug the containment ponds for flood control, took the extra dirt and didn't pay to have it moved, had it put on the sledding hill and contoured by the contractor. So absolutely free, and of course, if it snows this winter, maybe I'll get to use it. Wasn't able to use it last year. So thank you.
Caleb James, obviously running for city commission. I was 9 years in the Army before I got here, retired out of the Army. My wife retired out of the Army as well. We both settled down here in Manhattan. Both of our parents as well are retired and live in Junction City. My father 26 years, her father 20 years in the Army. So the military runs in the veins. When I was in the Army, I was a systems analyst when I joined, and so we helped build the command post of the future, which is their replacement for the Blue Force Tracker. It tracks their land, sea, and air shipments, links up to a satellite. So technology and advancements and future advancements in technology, I am very well versed in all of those. When I got out of the Army, I went to MATC, got my heating, ventilation, air conditioning certification, universal certification, and began working and doing HVAC work. And what that taught me is people don't have a lot of money to spend on a lot of things. And I know that's a weird thing to maybe learn from my time doing that, but I was raised to be frugal, to watch my money, and so what I did was I earned my certification in HVAC so I could pay for college so that I could become what I am now, which is senior business analyst with no school loans. So now I'm a senior business analyst for Maximus, and what I do is I look over business, I look over contracts, and I find where are our efficiencies? Where can we save money? Where can we maximize our dollars? And what I want to do is bring that to the city. Because our taxes keep going up, our debt keeps going up, and that doesn't make sense. Thank you.
First off, I just want to thank the Republican Party for hosting this, and thank you all for coming tonight. For those of you that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Jared McKee. I'm from a small town in southern Kansas, Harper, if any of you have heard of it. My dad worked on the farm, and now he works in a manufacturing plant making farming implements, and my mom is an assistant living administrator down there in Harper. I came up to K-State to go to school, first generation college student. I studied political science and Arabic. During my time at K-State, I had the opportunity near the end of my senior year to live in Madrid, Spain, and I worked for an NGO there that focused on government transparency, so advocating for government transparency throughout Europe and Africa. I value that experience so much more because it led me into what I do today. So today I work at Civic Plus as an account manager. I manage a portfolio of a few $1 million for them with clients all over the country. And what I do is on a day-to-day basis, I serve as a strategic advisor for city and county governments all over the country about how they can better leverage technology to be more transparent with their citizens, make internal processes more efficient, and then just flat out make it easier for people to do business with their municipality. So on a daily basis, I might help a city clerk turn the manual process she's been using and making an agenda to something that's more software-based so she saves time, therefore helping the bottom line of the city. Or from recent experience, I might be helping a police chief or a city manager evacuate their city because a hurricane is about to hit them. So I'm running for office because time and time again, I've seen my friends and my coworkers being priced out of living in this community. I've had the privilege of serving on the Social Services Advisory Board for the past 3 years in Manhattan, and I see this problem growing and growing and growing. And so instead of just sitting back and watching it happen, I decided to step up and try to do something about it. So I look forward to talking to you about some of the issues today, and if there's a question that I don't answer here tonight, feel free to grab me afterwards and ask. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yusha Reddy, and I'm running to get re-elected. I've been on the City Commission for 4 years. I've been living in Manhattan, Kansas for the past 25 years. I have 3 children. They all went to K-12 education in Manhattan. I also work at Ogden Elementary School, and if you know anything about Ogden, it's high poverty, high special ed, a lot of military families, a lot of diversity. It has about 235 students. And I enjoy working in the school district. I was a first grade teacher for 10 years, and now I'm, teaching part-time 3rd and 5th grade math. During my 25 years in Manhattan, I've seen it grow, and sometimes I was the one saying, maybe we're growing too fast, maybe we need to stop. This isn't the neighborhood that I moved into, it's going too far, too fast, everything's changing, there's too much traffic. And what I realized is it's because of all of that more and more people want to come to Manhattan. The growth has been so successful, our partnerships with Kansas State University, with Fort Riley, with USD 383, with our businesses and our community members. It's because of the relationship and the family environment that we have in Manhattan, Kansas, that people want to continue coming to Manhattan. And we've made some very responsible changes as far as our growth. It hasn't been very random. We were very deliberate and purposeful. And that comes from leadership from Kansas State University, from the city, from the Chamber of Fort Riley, all working together. So this is about relationships, cooperation, and partnerships. And it's about the community. And the community does certain things where they want certain investments made. And sometimes we have to make those tough decisions. I will say, as a commissioner, no one person makes any decision on their own. It's usually a majority. And after it's been vetted and a lot of discussion has taken place. I hope I've been approachable during these past 4 years as city commissioner. Whenever people have wanted to talk to me, I've been there. Even when they don't want to talk to me, I've been at some of their events. Mainly because I take a lot of pride in Manhattan. Manhattan has so much to celebrate, so much to embrace, and it's just been great being a part of it. I'm sorry, I didn't see the red thing go up.
Good evening. My name is Brian Thomason. I'm not a politician. I've never ran for political office before. I'm running for city commissioner to be a devoted public servant. I have had the opportunity to meet my fellow candidates, and I like all of them. They all have commitment for this community. They all have their ideas on how it can be better. And I'm sure they would share with you why they're running for city commission, and I want to tell you what drove me to do that. I'm the CEO of 2 companies here in Kansas and an affiliate of one of those, Networks Plus, here in Manhattan, and that's why we were in Manhattan, my wife Rebecca and I. We have found this community a very open community. We moved quite frequently with my career with Verizon, where I retired. We moved every 2 to 3 years, and in those moves we found out a lot about a lot of different communities, what works well and what doesn't. About a year ago, I was in a series of civic and business meetings here in Manhattan, and after listening to folks say what the problems were in Manhattan, along about the 3rd meeting, somebody said, there needs to be a new leader for Manhattan. I raised my hand. I raised my hand because I believe I have the skill sets acquired through 38 years in business, leading large organizations, including the companies I do today, to bring a sound understanding of how to solve problems, how to address issues, how to do strategic planning, not just talk about it, but do it effectively. And I would love to be able to tell you my story about strategic planning. There's problems we don't know about and challenges that will face Manhattan that we're not aware of today. But I'm committing to you that I have the background, knowledge, and experience to address those challenges when they come about, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Thank you.
Okay, can we give the candidates a round of applause? Now, for the first question, we'll go to Caleb. So we will alternate whoever starts with the first question. The most popular question submitted tonight is all related to the quarter sales tax that will be on the ballot for the improvement of recreational facilities and trail improvements. The question is, do you believe that these kinds of improvements are necessary for our region to grow in the future? Do you feel the sales tax is the proper funding mechanism? And what would be your plan to fund the additional O&M, operations and maintenance costs associated with these facilities if they should be built and put into operation? Okay. It's kind of a 3-part question, all related to the recreation trails and improvement. Do you believe that these kinds of improvements are necessary for a region to grow in the future? Do you feel the sales tax is the proper funding mechanism? And what is your plan to fund the additional operations and maintenance costs should the facilities be built?
Fair enough. All right, necessary for the region to grow, yes, absolutely, it's necessary. It's also necessary to promote the health and welfare of the people who are already in Manhattan. As far as the proper funding mechanism, the initial funding mechanism should be sales tax. It shouldn't be property tax. And I wouldn't support a vote for anything that aimed property tax towards those things. As far as operations and maintenance, if we plan it correctly, and we are building facilities that people want to come to, people are gonna wanna host tournaments. If we build an 18-hole for Frisbee golf, people are gonna wanna host tournaments. The money that we generate from those tournaments through sales taxes should be used to fund the operations and the maintenance.
So I could probably go on about this topic for an hour, so I'll try to condense it down to 2 minutes because I've done a lot of thinking on it. So first, straight away, I think that this is a good example of how the school board and the city have worked together to